Okay, so today I want to talk about the phrase dig everything. I remember years ago when I started in this hobby, that was said often. If you had a problem learning your detector or wanted to know how somebody else has their setup, or you were new to the hobby, people would say dig everything. And that's been around 20 plus years. I just seen it the other day and it made me think, somebody needs to talk about that because I find it very confusing for people new to the hobby. It was confusing for me 20 plus years ago. I have never, in 20 plus years of metal detecting, I could count on one hand where I dig everything at a site. Usually don't do that. There's no need for it. I do a lot of relic hunting where you dig everything that repeats that's not iron. But do you want to dig a truckload of iron out of a site? Sometimes, yeah. I mean, if you're on a Civil War battle site that might have some shells, yeah, maybe. But rarely do you want to dig everything. And the point is that you need to dig a lot, especially if you're new to the hobby, especially if you're using a new detector. And I think that's the big point that you want to take away from that. If you're new with the detector, dig signals over and over and over again that you might not usually dig with your regular, the detectors you're used to. When I do a lot of testing and not testing. I don't mean like test beds and test gardens, but I do reviews. I use a lot of different detectors, and how I use a new detector is go out and dig. Dig just about everything, and then as I learn it, I start weeding out those bad, those bad signals. You dig 50 pull tabs, you're going to know what a pull tab sounds like and acts like in the VDI you get on that. So I do recommend digging a lot more than you would with a metal detector that you're very confident and comfortable with. That's the best advice I have to learn a new detector. If you're new to the hobby, I suggest the same thing. Not only are you new and need to learn metal detecting, you need to learn that detector you're using. If you get weird tones, jumpy numbers, dig those too. You never know, and it'll teach you. Okay, I don't want that, and here's what it usually is. You have to learn what the bad targets are, just as much as what the good targets are, and I think that helps a lot. I think so many people rely on test beds and air testing and that's just not going to get you real far. You got to get out, you got to put the work in, go out to a trashy site, a park, and dig those pull tabs. You have to learn, and you can't. There's no way of cheating that. You can work in a test bed and know that detector inside and out in your test bed when you get out into real world scenarios, it's completely different. And you have to just go out there and dig all those signals. And like I said, dig the bad ones. You have to. Um, I'll never forget a review I did probably a year ago, and somebody sent me a message saying how did that detector perform on this in your test bed? And I messaged him back and I was a little confused. I said, I don't use a test bed. I get out and dig. So I just think that's the best way I've found. I've used a ton of metal detectors over the years. I currently have several. I always have different ones. I think different for me personally. I love learning the different new technology, and I think there's different tools for different jobs. That's my opinion on it. I couldn't hunt with just one detector, one coil. There's some great detectors that are all around good, but just not uh, perfect for everything. And I think for me, it's multiple detectors, and I learn them. I don't have a detector. I take that back. I have two detectors I don't know right now. I haven't had them very long. I need to put some time on them. Haven't even had them out yet. So don't dig everything. That's if you're new to the hobby, let the iron go at a park site. Dig some of the trash. Don't start weeding it out until you've dug a lot of the same and seen the same. You've seen the pull tab 50 times in the different VDIs, and you've dug a bunch of the different types, the beaver tails and stuff like that before you really start weeding them out. Before you start discriminating them out and not digging them anymore. You will learn more and quicker by doing that than trying to cherry pick and find the good signals. But I do think when you are good and you understand your detector and you consider yourself a good detectorist, you can start cherry picking, especially when you know your detector. But what I would say is don't ever go home wondering about a target you missed or you passed up, you decided not to dig. And I can remember years ago getting into the hobby, I would do that. You don't ever want to do that. Still dig iffy signals. Once you know your detector, still dig them. But like I said, a handful of times in all my years of detecting, I could count on one hand how many sites I've dug everything. Either I'm at sites that have a lot of iron, undesirable iron. I'm at sites with a lot of modern trash mixed in. I'm not going to dig pull tabs all day, especially if I know there's old coins there and stuff. So, I know this is pretty basic. If you've been detecting for long, you know this, but it amazes me how many people still use that phrase that to me is so outdated and so not true. And I do get questions about it now and then. And like I said, I think it was last week. It was about the time I made my first video of this series, and I seen somebody post, and they had a question on their metal detector, and somebody said, dig it all. No, you don't dig it all. If you're new to it, dig a lot, dig some questionable ones, dig some ones that you think are going to be trash, and make sure it is trash. And that's how you learn your detector. I know this is basic. Next week we'll talk about something a little bit different, but I wanted to get this off my chest and get this out there. So I'll bring you another video next week, and thanks for tuning in.